I made $1,200 last week while I was sleeping in a tent with no phone service. Meanwhile, my friend worked 60 hours at his job and took home $980 after taxes. We make the same salary. So why did I make more money doing absolutely nothing? Let me show you the math that changes everything. My name is Brad, and I once cried looking at my investment account because 2 years of sacrifice had earned me $70 in returns. And if you think getting to your first $100,000 is the hardest thing you'll ever do financially, hit that subscribe button because you're absolutely right, and I'm about to show you why. Today, I'm going to explain something that nobody tells you about building wealth. It's called the velocity of money. And it's the reason why your first $100,000 feels impossible, while your second $100,000 feels inevitable. Once you understand this, everything about your financial strategy is going to change. Here's the thing. Building wealth feels like a scam when you're starting out. You do everything right. You save money, you invest it, you sacrifice, you skip going out with friends, you drive a terrible car, you eat cheap food, you work side hustles, and after a year of grinding, you check your account and you have maybe $8,000 saved up. $8,000, that's it. After a year of your life, it's your investment returns for the year. Maybe $400 if the market was good, $400 for letting your money sit there for 12 months. You make that in a week at your job. It feels pointless. It feels like you're never going to get anywhere. You do the math in your head. If it takes you a year to save $8,000, it's going to take you 12 and a half years to get to $100,000, and that's if nothing goes wrong. No emergencies, no job loss, no life happening. So you start to think, what's the point? I'm not going to be rich until I'm 50. By then, I'll be too old to enjoy it. And this is where most people quit. They give up on saving, they give up on investing, they decide to just enjoy their money now because the future feels too far away. But here's what most people don't realize. They're quitting right before the magic happens. They're giving up right before the physics of money completely change. Because building wealth isn't linear, it's exponential. And there's a specific inflection point where everything flips. That inflection point is $100,000. Let me explain why. Think of building wealth like launching a rocket ship into space. And I'm not just making this up to sound cool. The math is actually similar. From $0 to $100,000 is the launch phase. You're fighting gravity. And gravity is brutal. Gravity is your bills, your rent, your car payment, your student loans, your need to eat food and have a phone. Gravity is inflation eating away at your dollars. Gravity is low wages and high costs. In this phase, you're burning 90% of your fuel just to get off the ground. You're working as hard as you can. You're sacrificing everything, and you're barely moving. It feels like you're standing still, like all this effort is going nowhere. But here's what's happening that you can't see. You're building momentum. Every dollar you save and invest is adding to your velocity. You're getting faster, you're getting higher, you're getting closer to escape velocity. And once you hit that point, once you break through the atmosphere, the physics completely change. At $100,000 and above, you've reached orbit. You're in space now. Gravity barely affects you anymore. Your money is making more money than you can save from your paycheck. Compound interest has taken over. You're no longer pushing the boulder up the mountain. It's rolling down the other side, and you're just trying to keep up. Let me show you the actual math on this. Because when you see the numbers, it's going to blow your mind. Let's say you make $60,000 a year. After taxes, you're taking home about $45,000. You're being responsible. You're saving 20% of your income. That's $9,000 a year, or $750 a month. You invest this money in index funds, averaging 10% annual return. Pretty standard. In year one, you invest $9,000. Your returns are about $450. Your ending balance is $9,450. Year two, you invest another $9,000. Your returns are about $1,845. Your ending balance is $20,295. Year three, another $9,000 invested. Returns are about $2,930. Ending balance is $32,225. You're grinding. You're sacrificing, but look at those returns. $450, then $1,845, then $2,930. It's growing, but it's not life-changing yet. You're still doing most of the heavy lifting. Let's keep going. By year 7, You've invested $63,000 of your own money. Your total returns over those 7 years are about $40,000. Your account balance is $103,000. You finally broke $100,000. It took 7 years of grinding, but now watch what happens. Year 8, you invest your $9,000 like always. But your returns this year are $11,300. Your money made more than you saved. For the first time, your money worked harder than you did. Ending balance is $123,300. Year 9, you invest $9,000. Your returns are $13,230. Ending balance is $145,530. Year 10, you invest $9,000. Your returns are $15,453. Ending balance is $169,983. You just went from $103,000 to $169,983 in 3 years. That's almost $67,000 of growth. It took you 7 years to get the first $100,000. It took you 3 years to get the next $70,000. Same savings rate, same effort, completely different results. This is where things get interesting. Let's keep going to year 11. You invest $9,000. Your returns are $17,898. Ending balance is $196,881. Year 12. You invest $9,000. Your returns are $20,588. Ending balance is $226,469. You just crossed $200,000. From $100,000 to $200,000 took you 5 years, but from $0 to $100,000 took you 7 years. The second, $100,000, was faster than the first, even though you didn't change anything about your savings, and it keeps accelerating. By year 15, your balance is $345,263. By year 20, it's $572,750. By year 25, it's $955,983, almost $1 million. But here's the crazy part. Of that $955,983, you only contributed $225,000. You saved $9,000 a year for 25 years. The other $730,983 was made by your money. Your money made more than triple what you contributed. This is the velocity of money. It starts slow, painfully slow, but once it gets moving, it's unstoppable. Now let me show you why most people never experience this. According to a study by Northwestern Mutual, the average American has $65,100 in total savings, not just retirement accounts, everything. And they're in their 40s or 50s. They never got to $100,000. They got close, maybe. They got to $30,000 or $50,000 or $70,000, and then something happened. They bought a new car. They took an expensive vacation. They upgraded their lifestyle. They pulled money out for a down payment on a house they couldn't really afford. They reset their progress back to zero, and every time you reset, you have to start over fighting gravity. You have to get back to launch velocity. Most people spend their entire lives stuck in the launch phase. They never break orbit, so they never experience the exponential growth. Let me tell you about the exact moment I realized this was real. I had been grinding for 5 years. I was 28 years old. I drove a 1998 Honda Civic with a window that didn't roll up. I had to put a trash bag over it when it rained. I ate rice and beans probably 4 nights a week. I worked my full-time job and did freelance work on weekends. I never went out. My friends thought I was cheap. My family thought I was crazy. And I was tracking everything in a spreadsheet. 'Cause I'm that guy. I checked my investment account probably once a week, and I watched it slowly grow. $12,000, then $24,000, then $41,000, then $68,000, then $89,000. And the whole time, my returns were small. Like my first year, I saved $8,000 and made $400 in returns. I remember thinking, I made $400 for a year of sacrifice. I could have made more money working 1 extra weekend. It felt defeating. I'd look at my spreadsheet and calculate how long it would take to get to $1 million at this rate. The answer was like 40 years. I thought, I'm going to be 68 years old before I'm rich. What's the point? But I kept going, mostly because I didn't know what else to do. I had already sacrificed so much. Quitting felt like wasting all that effort. Then I hit $100,000. It was in January. I remember the exact day, January 23rd. I looked at my account and it said $101,247. I took a screenshot. I didn't tell anyone because who celebrates that? But I felt like I had climbed a mountain. 3 months later, I went on a camping trip with some friends. It was like a week in the mountains. No cell service, no internet, totally disconnected. When I came back, I checked my account just out of habit. It was at $107,184. I had made almost $6,000 in a week, just from market returns. I didn't work. I didn't save extra money. I was literally sleeping in a tent eating hot dogs, and my money made $6,000. I stared at that number for probably 10 minutes. Because I did the math in my head. When I first started investing, I was saving about $650 a month. It took me almost 2 months to save $6,000, and my money just made that in 1 week while I was doing nothing. That's when it clicked. That's when I understood. My money was finally working harder than I was. The boulder wasn't heavy anymore. It was rolling down the other side of the mountain. I wasn't pushing it. I was chasing it. From that point on, everything changed psychologically. I wasn't grinding anymore. I was watching. I'd check my account and see that I made $2,000 in a day or lost $3,000 in a day. But over time, it kept going up, and the returns kept getting bigger. Going from $100,000 to $200,000 took me less than 4 years, half the time it took to get to the first $100,000. Same savings rate, same strategy, just completely different results because of compound interest. And here's what made me frustrated. Looking back, I almost quit at $60,000. I remember seriously considering cashing out and buying a new car, a nice one, because I was so tired of the sacrifice. I was so tired of the grind, and $60,000 felt like it would never turn into real wealth. If I had quit then, I would have given up right before the exponential curve kicked in. I would have been stuck in the launch phase forever. I would have reset my progress and had to start over. And I probably never would have made it back because I would have been demoralized. Here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. The first $100,000 is a grind. It's brutal, it's slow, it feels impossible. You're working harder than you've ever worked and the results feel tiny. Your investment returns are laughable compared to your savings contributions. You're doing all the work, but that first $100,000 is everything. It's the launch phase, it's the hardest part. It's where most people quit. But if you can get through it, if you can push through the grind and the sacrifice and the feeling that it's not working, you break through to the other side. And on the other side, the math is completely different. Your money starts working harder than you do. Your returns start being bigger than your contributions. You go from pushing the boulder to riding it down the mountain. Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's business partner, said it best. The first $100,000 is a bitch, but you got to do it. And he's right, it's hard, but it's necessary. Because without that first $100,000, you never get to experience exponential growth. You stay stuck in linear growth forever. So here's what you need to do. If you're under $100,000 in net worth, you have one job. Get to $100,000 by any means necessary. Not illegal means, not unethical means, but any legal, ethical way to get there faster. That means aggressive savings. I'm talking 30%, 40%, 50% of your income if you can. Live like you're broke. Drive a cheap car. Live with roommates, eat cheap food, skip the vacations, skip the nice clothes, skip everything that doesn't matter. That means side hustles, freelancing, overtime, selling stuff you don't need. Anything that brings in extra money should be going straight to investments. That means no lifestyle inflation. You get a raise, the entire raise goes to savings. You get a bonus, the entire bonus goes to savings. You get a tax refund, straight to savings. Do not let your spending increase until you hit $100,000. And most importantly, do not reset your progress. Don't cash out for a car. Don't pull money out for a vacation. Don't stop investing because the market dropped. Once you start building momentum, you have to keep going. Because every time you reset, you have to fight gravity all over again. The math is clear. Getting from $0 to $100,000 takes about 7 to 8 years for the average person saving aggressively. Getting from $100,000 to $200,000 takes about 3 to 4 years. Same effort, half the time. That's the power of compound interest. But you have to get to $100,000 first. You have to push through the grind. You have to survive the launch phase. Because once you break orbit, once you hit that inflection point, wealth building becomes inevitable. Your 20s and early 30s are for grinding, for sacrificing, for building that first $100,000. It's going to suck. You're going to feel like everyone else is having more fun than you. You're going to question if it's worth it. You're going to want to quit. But push through. Because your late 30s, your 40s, your 50s, that's when you get to enjoy it. That's when your money is making more than you can save. That's when compound interest is doing the heavy lifting. That's when you've broken orbit and you're coasting. The first $100,000 is hell, but the second $100,000 is inevitable. Get to the first one, and the rest takes care of itself. Watch the next video where I show you exactly how to save your first $100,000 in 5 years or less.